Good morning. This is episode 14 of Camellia City. My name is Denan, and I'm going to talk about the history of hoodoo in this town. Something that's not shocking if you know anything about Southern history at all, but something that probably isn't talked about much in our beautiful, magical little town of Greenville, Alabama, the Camellia City. So I was reminded of all of this when recently I had some really sweet church ladies come in my shop, and they walked around and talked to me for a minute and were very, I could tell they were testing me on some things. And they asked me a few questions. And then at some point, I passed the test. I don't know what the test was exactly. And they said, okay, go get mama. So then they brought in a much older lady, also a very sweet church lady, and she explained that she wanted a few things that I do have in my shop, but they were going to use those things not for what I have them for, but to expel some bad spirits up on Baptist Hill. Okay, I'll come back to that. So what that's about is hoodoo. Hoodoo is not voodoo, by the way, okay? So it's not a religion. It is a tradition. And it's such an old tradition. And by the way, you'll only find religious people, African American people in the South, who are serious about hoodoo. It's mixed with whatever particular religion they are practicing. Oftentimes it could be Church of Christ. And I'm not putting those two together, so don't get offended, okay? So I'm going to give you a little bit of background on the hoodoo in Greenville. People who practice hoodoo might be called conjure doctors, root workers, spiritualists, and it's pretty much on the down low, you know? That's not something they're going to go and advertise, but it's such a rich tradition that people believe in it. And it's just, they grew up with it, you know, generation after generation after generation. Now, I know a little bit about this because of a very sweet lady I knew in New Orleans, Miss Ollie, and Mama Ollie, which she had people call her, was a hoodoo person. And so she would tell me the things that she would do, and she went to a Baptist church in New Orleans too. So, and she grew up in Mississippi, and it was just how she grew up, you know. So, and I might include some of that, some of the stuff she told me when I get into what they actually do for practice of hoodoo. Okay, so hoodoo is a melding of African magic and religion that was brought over with the slaves, Native American herbal remedies. Obviously, they're using the plants of the place that they're in, and even some European folklore. So it's all a kind of a combination of all of that, and it's been passed down through generations. And I think in a lot of ways, it's what you would consider a chaos magic, just a melding of a whole bunch of things. Now, don't get me wrong, hoodoo people are believers in Christ. And I know this may be shocking to you if you've never heard about this, but when they are casting spells or doing some of the things that they do to affect change, however they do it, they also speak the Psalms and pray to Jesus, okay? Some of the things they do are casting candle spells, and that would be called dressing a candle. So when you dress a candle, you would rub oil on it, put some herbs around it, say prayers, hold your hands over it, ask God to imbue that candle with whatever intention you wanted. Special baths with different herbs and oils, floor washes, same thing. You would wash your floor with that to call on for more wealth or happiness or, protection. Protection is a giant issue with hoodoo. protecting from evil spirits, protecting from other people's bad intentions, protection from other hoodoo people's bad spells. And they also make mojo bags, which is a thing as well. So, let me give you a little Camellia City background on hoodoo. I often have gone back to this little book that I love so much by Clifton Metters called Sketches of a Small Town circa 1940, because he talks about growing up in Greenville in 1940. And I'm not going to tell you this whole story because I've done it on an earlier podcast. But when Clifton Metters was 11, he saw a booger. Now, boogers and haints are two different things. A booger is like a scary Mothman demon, and a haint is a ghost. Okay, but some of the things that his family's maid told him about boogers was totally terrifying, and I'm going to give you, because she was a hoodoo lady, his maid, I'm going to tell you what she directly told him about boogers. So, they're dark, scary creatures that come out at night only in the winter time, so this is a great time of year to talk about boogers. They were somehow connected to hoodoo, which he says was still practiced in Greenville's black community in those days, and apparently in these days too. Some of the things he says that she explains about boogers are: boogers live up in trees and up under houses. They like it dark, and they only come out in winter when it's cold and nobody's outside. They love the wind. They're always after somebody, especially if you're alone. Here's another thing she said. The only thing to keep them away is to whistle or talk out loud, because boogers don't like talking. So if you ever find yourself walking the streets of Greenville late at night, perhaps you should start talking to yourself to keep the boogers away. In winter at night, and when there's no moon, boogers come out of hiding all over the place, up under bridges where the wind is howling and moaning. And the worst place is under the railroad bridge downtown at Commerce Street. Y'all know where that is. That's the bridge that all the trucks hit. The boogers love to swarm there and howl with the wind. More than a dozen boogers are up under that bridge. Never go under there at night in the dark. And one thing to remember is they don't like the light, so take a flashlight with you if you go booger hunting. So when he saw the booger, he said he's heard it first, the flapping sound of its wings. He looked over his shoulder to see a huge black form swoop down towards him. Long red flames spewed from its mouth like a flying dragon, and a brilliant yellow light beamed from its eyes. It hissed and spat fire in my direction, he says, as its beating wings whipped the frigid night air around me in a fierce wind. So that sounds like the Mothman. That sounds scary, or almost like the Mothman, right? So apparently we've got these bad things called boogers in Greenville. Now, back to these wonderful, sweet church ladies. Apparently there was something going on up on Baptist Hill, and they were going to get rid of it, whatever that bad energy or, whatever it is. I just wanted to bring you some more information before I get into probably what they were doing. Just remember that most of the people who practice hoodoo also follow the tenets of some Protestant religion, right? They combine standard magic rituals with psalms and verses from the Bible, and they really do rely on their faith in God to direct their spiritual paths. I guess you could consider it like Santeria and Catholicism have gone together, but they do a lot of different types of work, spiritual work, let's say that. Usually they're pillars in their community, and they are respected by members of their churches and in their neighborhoods and communities. They really, especially the elder ones, are very much respected because hoodoo is they believe in it, and if you have this knowledge, this folklore knowledge, you're respected in your community. So yeah, they do things that help in everyday rituals that help in everyday life, like helping with infertility or unemployment or bringing more money. But they also can invoke curses. Isn't it crazy that this is still going on in Greenville, in our beautiful Camellia City? So let me give you some spells that they, apparently do. Candle spells, right? So the color of the candle, and Miss Ollie told me about this too. The color of the candle apparently is really important. Like a white candle's for healing and purification. A red candle is for passion and love, fertility. A yellow candle is for brain power, creativity, security. A blue candle is for wisdom, laughter, dreams, emotions. A green candle is for success, money. A black candle is for protection always. So black stones, black candles, always protection. Pink is for love. Orange is for sudden change. Purple is for meditation, hidden knowledge. And brown is for connection to the earth or finding lost items. I don't know if those ladies had candles for Baptist Hill, but I would assume if they did, they would have black candles for protection, to protect them. Herbal baths are also, not only healing, but for, drawing love or money, and then sitting in the bath. On certain days of the week, apparently, which is interesting, Hoodoo practitioners will do certain, I guess, spiritual things, and also by the moon phases, but definitely on the days of the week. So Sunday, they would practice conjuring for success and wealth. On Monday, spirituality and mysticism. Tuesday, lust and passion. Wednesday, health and vitality. Thursday, gambling and luck. Friday, love and friendship. And Saturday, protection and uncrossing. So perhaps if they were doing that on Baptist Hill, they must have done it on a Saturday, right? Mojo bags are something that has been very popular with Hoodoo people. So they would just put stones and herbs and talismans and coins and other things that root workers use, actual roots, into a bag, maybe anoint it with some oil and wear it around their neck or on their person somewhere. There's lots of websites out there about Alabama and conjure doctors, root workers, hoodoo in particular. There's lots of information out there about it. So these ladies left, and I wish them the most luck. I hope they did clear out whatever was bad up on Baptist Hill. And that they were successful and protected, and they were just sweet as they could be. And I was kind of, I think they were very cautious around me and didn't want to be very open, because here I am. I'm obviously not a hoodoo person. I'm obviously not raised in that tradition. So they were very, they didn't come all out and tell me what was going on or what they were doing, because it's not my, that's not my rodeo there. But interesting to see that it still happens. That's part of our Southern tradition, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. It's still thriving in our beautiful Camellia City. And hopefully the hoodoo people that are here are doing great things and keeping all the boogers away. All right. I love you guys. Say hello to me sometime, and mwah, see you next podcast.